500 and the Coke 600, I like to compare it to two different things. The Indy 500 was like the dessert. You know, when you were younger, you always looked forward to that, and whenever you ate it, you always knew that it was going to leave you a good feeling in your stomach. The Coke 600 was like the vegetables, where you hated it, and when you were forced to eat it, you dreaded every single second of it. This race sucked. There were a lot of problems, both from a racing standpoint and also from a production standpoint, because Fox, man, they dropped the ball on covering this race. Compared to on how well produced NBC covered the Indy 500, it's night and day. We're going to get to that near the end of the video. But first, you got to talk about what happened in the 2021 Coca-Cola 600. And once again, this race was dominated by Hendrick Motorsports. This team, like I said a few weeks ago, they are unstoppable, it seems. And the guy leading the way is Kyle Larson. So the race started off with Kurt Busch and BJ McLeod going to the rear for unapproved adjustments. Stage one, it took, first of all, I should say this. We knew HMS was going to be strong based on how they ran well during qualifying. They qualified, I think, first, second, and seventh or eighth. I think Alex Bowman was eighth. I think it was first, second, fourth, and eighth. I think that's how the qualifying format went for the 4 Hendrick cars. But it didn't take long. It took maybe 3 or 4 laps for HMS to be 1, 2, and 3, with Larson leading, Elliott in second, Byron third, and as usual, Alex Bowman, sort of the odd man out. Still running strong, but not up to the likes of his teammates. He'll get up to his other teammates later on in the race, but early during the sunshine, it was really Byron, Elliott, and Larson, with Larson leading the way. I mean, they pretty much were 1, 2, and 3 for majority of stage number 1. If not, majority of stage number 1. Larson won, Elliott was second, Byron third. Yeah, Kevin Harvick, who was the only SHR driver that was really alive in this race. He was fourth in stage number 1. Fifth was Austin Dillon, 6th Kyle Busch, 7th Truex, 8th Reddick Stenhouse, 9th, and Alex Bowman in 10th. Actually, take that back. Stenhouse was second, but all HMS were in the qualifying in the top 10. That's all you really need to know. Stage 2, we actually saw some racing. You know, like once again, Larson, Elliott were up front. Harvick, though, was in the sandwich of the Hendrick mix. He was in third, with Byron running in fourth. Byron had some really good battles with former Cup champions the entire race. Early on, it was Byron and Harvick. Later in the race, it was him and Kyle Busch. Byron probably had the most activity in terms of competing with drivers out of all the 4 Hendrick cars. Now, Larson was leading the entire time, but behind him was Chase Elliott. And Elliott was running this very weird line, similar to how if you watch Indy 500, you would see drivers coming out for turn number 4, immediately dive right down to the to the white line near where the grass and the infield is. So that was kind of like what Elliott was doing. As soon as he got off the corner in turn number 2, he would go right down to the bottom, to the white line with the 2 wheels on the white line, then come back up and, entering turn 3. Even in the front stretch in the tri-oval, come off of 4, go right down to the white line, and did that the entire way until he got up near the wall to enter turn 1. It was a weird line, again, because number 1, he was the only one that was doing that. Everyone else was running the same type of line. Entering the corner on the bottom, go up the track near the wall on the straightaways. Elliott was the only one that was on the bottom of the front stretch and the back stretch for multiple laps. And it seemed to be working because he was closing down on Kyle Larson, and on lap 132, he would actually pass Kyle Larson in the middle of the back straightaway for the lead. Elliott would open up to about a 1-second lead until pit stops came in, when Kyle Larson charged his way onto pit road to try to get up side by side with Elliott, and Larson would actually end up getting the edge. He would come off of pit road first after pit stops would cycle through. Elliott would fall back to third, with Byron in second in the middle. Now, Chip Ganassi Racing, they came so close to winning in the Indy 500 with Alex Palou finishing in second. They didn't even make it to stage number 2 with both of their cars. In stage number 1, Ross Chastain pulled into the garage after it was reported that a broken oil pump belt came apart on the hood of his car, and he had to go into the garage to get it repaired. Then Kurt Busch, in stage number 2, reported not the same thing, but it had similar symptoms. No power steering, as well as no oil pressure. They pulled the car into the garage after about, I forgot how many laps it was, but after some laps, he came back on the racetrack. and probably about 4 or 5 seconds when he came back on the racetrack, engine cut off, expired, car went up in smoke, and would bring out the first real caution of the race. Bowman, Hamlin, and Logano were the only 3 drivers that took 2 tires. Everyone else took 4. And the restart came out with 22 to go. Chase Elliott lost some ground. I think fell back to 6th, 7th, 8th place. Somehow, even with the 4 fresh tires, I was in shock by how quickly Elliott was able to charge his way back towards the front and would end up taking the lead from Hamlin with 19 laps to go. But then the leader of HMS in terms of mile and a half racetracks, Kyle Larson, 7 laps later with 13 to go, he took the lead and he would go on to win stage number 2. Elliott would finish in 2nd, Byron in 3rd, Kyle Busch 4th, Reddick 5th, Harvick in 6th, Bowman in 7th, Buescher, Hamlin, and Austin Dillon round out the top 10. Stage 3, Stage 4, really nothing happened. We're just going to go over some quick notes. So Stage 3, Larson was leading. Christopher Bell, later on into the run of stage number 3, got loose, arrow loose in turn 2 and smacked the wall, and then later on cut a right front tire as a result of hitting the wall and brought it onto pit road. Then on lap 231, William Byron showed some muscle, flexed some muscle. He was able to get underneath Kyle Larson entering 1 and 2 and squeeze his way to take the lead. It was kind of shocking because Byron, it seemed as though that the only driver to challenge Kyle Larson was Chase Elliott. But no, William Byron flexed some muscle. Really, all the Hendrick cars, even Alex Bowman for a little bit, flexed some muscle in this Coke 600 equally, but not to the extent of Kyle Larson, but each of them got their moment to shine, let's just say that. After pit stops, Larson was back ahead of Byron. Then another caution would come out. Ray Newman gets into the wall and turns 3 and 4 to bring out the caution. That would end up being the final real caution of that night. That would actually force the stage to end under caution, if I'm not mistaken. Larson led, Larson would win the stage, Byron in 2nd. 3rd was Kyle Busch, 4th Chase Elliott, and 5th Alex Bowman. Then you had Reddick, Hamlin, Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, and Kevin Harvick, the final 5 or some odd spots. Then after stage number 3, cars came in for pit stops. Larson came out in 1st, and then Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he was the most entertaining driver to watch in this race. In stage number 1, he started around mid-pack, very quickly drove his way up towards the front, making some very fun and potentially some hair-raising moves. There was even some odd moments early in stage number 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken, where he made moves underneath Austin Dillon to try and sharply make a 3-wide pass, entering 3. It seemed as though that if Kyle Busch was able to get up with Kyle Larson late in the race, he could become a real contender for the win. And it seemed as though that Kyle Busch was the only driver that could really contend with Larson. Chase Elliott, he had a fast car, but I don't think as fast as Kyle Busch. But yeah, also Bubba Wallace, he had an equipment interference penalty, as well as Ryan Blaney was caught for speeding, so they had to get sent back to the rear to begin the final stage. The final stage, only 2 things happened. Lap 347, Martin Truex Jr. cuts a tire, either cut or lost a tire, from 12th place and had to pit. We don't know what happened because Fox was in commercial at the time. This was one of many issues that not me, but a lot of fans had with Fox in this race. And there was also another moment with 52 laps to go. Kyle Busch was trying to make something happen with this race. And even coming to the final some odd laps, there were some really good battles actually. Surprisingly, there were some good battles between Kyle Busch, William Byron, and Chase Elliott, including this moment, like I said, with 52 to go. Busch and Byron side by side entering turn number 1. Busch slides up right next to the 66 of David Starr and right in front of the 52 of Josh Bilicki. That holds both of them up. Chase Elliott tries to contend for 4th place or for 5th place, but would end up selling itself out without causing any more drama. Busch would get out ahead, Elliott behind him, and Byron behind those 2 drivers. But the 52 and the 66, they were in the way multiple times. This was just one incident. There were, 4 or 5 moments where the 52 or the 66 or both of them was holding up the lead lap cars. And there was even points where the broadcasts of Gordon and Boyer are trying to, voice their opinion on, hey, these guys need to get out of the way. They didn't say it directly, calling them out, but they did it in a very subtle way to the point where you got what they were trying to say. But that would end up being it. That was the last moment of that race. It would go on green the entire way. And Kyle Larson, who had, I think, a 10-second lead, will go on to win for the second time of 2021, his 8th career Cup Series win, his first win at Charlotte, his first win that is longer than 400 miles, and this is a very important stat. He gets Hendrick Motorsports their 269th career Cup win, which now puts them first, passing Petty Enterprises for most wins by an organization in the Cup Series. Here's a look at the results. Kyle Larson wins. Second would be Chase Elliott. Kyle Busch would split the Hendrick cars, not forcing another 1, 2, 3, 4. Byron and Bowman would finish 4th and 5th. Austin Dillon, a very solid run for him in 6th. Denny Hamlin, a quiet 7th place run. 8th, Chris Buescher, very impressive run for that 17 team. Tyler Reddick in 9th, and Kevin Harvick rounds out the top 10. Brad Keselowski in 11th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 12th, Blaney 13th, Bubba Wallace in 14th, Suarez 15th, Jones 16th, Logano. I don't know exactly what happened with Logano, but I'm pretty sure something happened, I think, after stage number 2, that he just fell off, and he was nowhere to be seen anywhere in the top 10. It was a weird night for the 22 team. I don't know if he had a pit road issue or what, but yeah, 17th and 11th and 13th. Not a good day for the Penske team at Charlotte. 18th, Matt DiBenedetto, affiliate to Penske. 19th, Corey LaJoie, and Michael McDowell rounds out the top 20. Custer, 20. Look, Stewart Haas Racing. Harvick, 10th, and then his teammates, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Bell, 24th. Alfredo, Priest, Newman, 25th to 27th. And then you have Haley and Truex. When he cut that tire down, it was late into a race, like I said, on lap 347, so he would finish 29th. Then you had Cody Ware, 30th, McLeod, Quinn Houff, Davison, Smithley, Balicki, Starr. And then the two Chip Ganassi drivers, they would take up the final 2 spots, 37th and 38th, respectively. Take a look now at the playoff grid after the Coke 600. No real change, really, except now Kyle Larson now has the most playoff points with 19, ahead of Martin Truex Jr. in 2nd. Another change is 2 you see on the right of your screen. Reddick now jumps up to 15th. Buescher falls to 16th. Matt DiBenedetto still 55 points behind in 17th. Stenhouse Jr. now jumps up to 18th, minus 62. Kurt Busch 19th, minus 83. And Newman jumps up to 20th, now minus 87. Yeah, first of all, let's talk about the Hendrick domination. I mean, it's actually quite scary on how dominating they are. I have a stat here. Of the 400 laps, Hendrick Motorsports led all but 26. They led 337 laps combined. Now, a majority of them was from Kyle Larson. He led 328, Elliott 22, Byron 19, and Bowman 5. But still, led all but 26 laps by an organization. Again, each of them had a chance to shine. Not to the likes of Larson, but still, each of them got a chance to shine. It is quite scary on how dominating they have been. They nearly got another 1, 2, 3, 4 finish. They were just 1 spot away if it wasn't for Kyle Busch. It's, again, like, I didn't expect Hendrick to be this strong. In fact, even Chevy as a whole, look at Richard Childress Racing. They're slowly starting to come along. I mean, both of their drivers, Dillon finishing 6th. I think Reddick was like 8th or 9th. They both had really solid runs. Now, the only thing you could really say about the maybe part about Hendrick Motorsports is if they're peaking too early. Again, we still got 11 races to go in the playoffs. We got, tracks like the Indy Road Course, Daytona, Michigan, Pocono, Nashville. Different types of racetracks we're heading to before we enter the playoffs at Darlington in September. So that's the only thing you can maybe say about Hendrick, but at the moment, they're on fire. Now, let's talk about the negatives. Fox and NASCAR. Let's start with Fox. If you watched the Indy 500, first of all, what a race that was. An incredible race. NBC, in my opinion, did a phenomenal job covering the Indy 500. It was very professional, got straight to the point, entertaining, informative. During moments where they needed to be serious, they were very serious. The moment where they had Elio Castroneves when he won, and they didn't say a word. They didn't have microphones come up on them. They just let the pictures tell the story. How they produced it was really, really incredible. So 2 thumbs up from NBC. How Fox did, on the other hand, was ridiculous. First of all, the amount of commercials were mental. It was like 60% or 65% commercials, 35% racing. And there were times when something actually happened, they went to commercial. Like the incident with Martin Truex Jr. We don't know what happened. We were in commercial when that took place. There were multiple times where moments during the race cut to commercial or they missed it. There's this one moment during stage number 1 that I could not comprehend, but Fox decided to be a good idea to have a long segment and having a full screen. We had Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer on the left. Then you had Jay Leno, and I think it was Kevin Eubanks. I have it written down somewhere. Now, the reason why they had those two on the program on screen was because they were going to host a game show in a few weeks or so on Fox. Which, fine. If you want to have them on the show, fine. Couple issues. Number 1, you already had them on the pre-race. Number 2, why would you put them on during a race broadcast? Not only that, like I said, they had them full screen. The racing was going in the background. While that was happening, you had 5 other people that were just talking about some other random stuff. The craziest part was that Jay Leno dropped in a sex joke on the race broadcast. I forgot exactly what the joke was, but when I heard that, I thought, oh God, Jay Leno did not just say that in a NASCAR race. It was, again, if you want to have him on the program, fine. But why would you dedicate so much time during the race to host a game show, which, since it's on Fox, more than likely it's just going to get canceled in 2 or 3 weeks? I mean, what about that Cherries Wild thing? Is that even still on? I don't know. But I'm looking at it. I don't know. But it's a game show. Who cares? Why are you dedicating so much time to it? Yeah, I get it. It's Jay Leno and he knows stuff about cars, but why'd you have to interrupt the actual race for it? When I want to see a race, I want to see a race, all right? I don't want to see, a bunch of people talking out of their ass about stuff that none of us care about. I don't know, just watching the Indy 500 and then watching the Coke 600, it was like the Indy 500 production was up here, and then the Coke 600 was all the way down here. Like, it was such a downgrade. Like, it was actually infuriating. In terms of the race, now let's go on to the race. I am so glad that this is the final race in the Gen 6 car. I mean, Kyle Busch, I'll give him credit. He tried to make something. He tried to make this race as interesting as possible. And I get it. Some races are going to have a driver or a team be absolutely dominant. But with this 550 horsepower package, with the high downforce, some tracks benefit from that, like Chicagoland or Kansas or, tracks like that. Charlotte is not one of those tracks. Not even really the restarts were as exciting as it was in years past. I mean, I don't know. I think the restarts, were all right. I don't think they were as good as it was before. Like at Kansas, I think the restarts were really fun. Even at Charlotte, with this race, the restarts were just meh. They weren't bad, but they were meh. Very spread out. No, you couldn't really pass. Except for, again, there were some battles, but I don't know. It was just a really boring race. It was a really boring race. And when you have 600 miles of boring racing, then it's gonna feel like forever. At least with other races, like if it was a 400 miler, it's done and over with. This was 600 miles. When 600 miles is good, then it can be really fun to watch. When it's bad, you just want to end it. End it all, it seems like. Like, I was already done probably halfway with the race. I mean, I knew it was just not going to be exciting to watch at all. Again, the fact that the most exciting part was, my opinion, was Jay Leno making a sex joke. That's probably one of the few things I remember from this race. When you get to that, that's how you know this was a bad race. When you remember something that didn't even involve the actual racing. The only good thing that came out of this race was Hendrick Motorsports, passing Penny Enterprises to be number 1. That was it. Other than that, no. This race sucked. No ifs or buts about it. This race sucked. I don't care if I'm a Hendrick fan. This race still sucked. But yeah, next weekend we got 750 horsepower on the road courses of Sonoma. I'm excited to see some road course racing. I'm excited to see some small blade racing. Let's just say that. And once again, Coke 600 was not good. Which sucks because I want this race to do well, but man, this was just a fail, both from a production standpoint and from a racing product standpoint. This was not a good night for NASCAR. I don't know. I feel like I'm not saying it was horrible. I'm saying it sucked, but I'm not saying it was horrible because there was some good battles, even though they were very short-lived. Majority of the battles that I saw that I found that were interesting were, between Byron and Kyle Busch. Actually, really anything with Kyle Busch, anything that had Kyle Busch involved were the exciting parts. Outside of that, probably not so much. I don't know. Maybe it was probably different from if you were actually at the race. I think the TV coverage made the race even worse because they missed a lot of battles. They missed a lot of moments. The stupid Jay Leno segment. I don't know. I'm just glad this race is over. I'll just say that. So, yeah, that's all I got. What are your thoughts on this race? Did you like it? So why? Nah, if you like it, then really explain to me what parts did you like about it. What are your thoughts on Larson winning and Hendrick 1, 2, 4, 5? I mean, leading all but 20 some odd laps. And yeah, overall thoughts on this race. Did you like it? Did you not? Comment section down below. But until next time, my name is JettMDK, and I'll see y'all next time.